What's up, everybody? This is your boy David, aka Preacherman, here with another great, awesome podcast. And today, I just want to first, I'll say to all my listeners out there that I appreciate you. You guys are number one. You guys always have a special place in my heart, as well as I journey throughout this podcast, and as you guys journey throughout listening. Today's podcast is going to be on a special topic. I think that this podcast is one that is very well needed. I believe that in order for us to be successful and for us to be better people here in America, we must understand kids. And today, the podcast is about teen suicides. We see kids committing suicide daily. We know of a kid who committed suicide. We know that there are kids out there who have committed suicide. And we want to just talk briefly about it on today. I hope that you all are well off today. I hope that today is a greater day than it was yesterday. I hope that everyone is able to learn from this and also give back to a teen somewhere. So teens are committing suicide at a rate of speed. They are faced with peer pressures. They are also faced with being accepted by their peers. And I believe that I would like to talk about some of the things kids are faced with as well. As we know, we were once kids and we were once faced with different things of this world. And not all the time were we able to communicate that. No matter who was around us, we weren't able to communicate it because of things that we felt were worth talking about and things that we felt would not allow us to be able to talk about. And I think that here with this podcast, it'll be more for helping teens. And also, if you know a teen somewhere, anywhere, make sure that you direct them to this podcast, share this podcast, like this podcast, share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. Share this podcast. I think that it's going to be awesome. I think that it's great for kids to understand that we as adults understand them, that we know that they're going through things, and we want to see them overcome it without committing suicide. But we're going to go head on into the podcast. And the first thing that I want to say kids deal with when it comes to before the suicide happens are kids are just not feeling happy. And you're probably saying, wondering, what do you mean kids are not feeling happy? You know, I take my kids to amusement parks. I take them everywhere. Maybe I feel like I'm spending enough time. So here we go. We're going to dive in, and I'm going to dive in here. First off, kids not feeling happy. Sometimes kids, they're not happy with the way of life at home. Okay, maybe they're in a single parent home. Maybe they're living with just one parent. Maybe they're living with grandma, granddaddy. Maybe they're living with both parents. Maybe they're living with aunts and uncles or siblings themselves. But they don't love their situation at home. They don't like the situation at home. They don't like nothing that's going on at home. And the big thing is the financial issues. I believe that a lot of kids are feeling like they are the reason that their parents are financially unstable, or maybe they feel that they're the reason that there's not enough food in the house because someone somewhere is always buying groceries and blaming that kid for the reason. Maybe the parents aren't there. So a lot of things are going through kids' minds. They're feeling that there is no help, there is no hope because of the lack of financial stability of kids live in poverty-stricken homes. They're not going to feel like they are worth anything because the kids that they go to school with, and I'm going to talk about that as well inside of this podcast, but the kids that they go to school with sometimes can be they can be very, very unaccepting of someone. And financial issues is big. You know, kids not having clothes, not having shoes, not having the necessities that life brings and that you need. Maybe they don't have the schoolwork, pens, pencils, and things of that nature. So that makes the kid feel unhappy with the home life. Maybe that kid they're hitting puberty, and when puberty, kids in school, they feel and are being called names, and they feel that there is no hope. And the big thing that people and young kids need, if you listen to the podcast, you're a parent, and the biggest thing kid needs at home is for you as a parent to support them, to always tell them that you love them, to tell them that that they're beautiful or they're handsome, that they mean something to you, that they can be anything that they want to be in life, that they strive to be, and that no matter what they go through at school, they can and will be better off years later, and not to worry and focus on what those kids say at school. And I have to say, it starts at home, all right, but it doesn't stop at home. And what that means is we as parents, we need to instill in our kids that they have so much ahead of them in this life, that they are the future, that we need them, that they are somebody, that they can be resilient and bounce back from any heartache and pains that they have in their life. And when I say it doesn't stop at home is when they're going to relatives' houses, do not send them to relative houses who are going to put them in a bond or who are going to make them feel less of a child, less of a human being, that they will treat them humanely, that they will uplift them, that they will pour positivity into that kid's life. A lot of parents sometimes are sending kids to people's house that they think are helping that young child become better and helping that young child with whatever they need help with. And the reality is they're tearing that child down. They're kicking that child down. And when puberty hits, young kids really need some adult there who knows what's going through. Like, for instance, women go through different things than men. So most women or young ladies need a woman to guide them. Most young men need a man to guide them and to help them to understand their body, to understand what are they going through, to help them understand their thought process. Because as they get older, their thought process becomes a lot different as well. Whereas a little kid is not focused on the beauty of an individual. Whereas when they start hitting puberty, the mind changes. They start wanting to be accepted by friends. They feel like if I'm not accepted by my peers, then I'm not worthy of my peers. If I'm not accepted at home, if my parents are working more, not spending time with me. Kids look at all of that stuff and they take all that into consideration. And I believe that if kids have parents who are willing to listen, to help guide them, and I'm saying this because a lot of parents in the generation that we are in here in the 21st century has caused parents to miss out on their kids' life, to put work first, to put everything else first before that child. And these young teens all over America, international as well, need that guidance from that parent who cares. And I'm not talking about a parent who just take 5 minutes of their life, say, okay, I spent time with my kid, but I'm going to go back to work. It's like, no, I'm going to sit here with this kid no matter how long it takes, and I'm going to pour into this kid what they need. I'm going to pour into this young teen and find out what is going on in their life. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Because there's so much out here that can take a kid's mind so quickly. At the same time, those minds are being taken. They're committing suicide because they feel and have this feeling that there is no hope, that there is no one to help subside the discomfort in their life. Okay, and all of that plays a big part. The next thing I want to move to is part two. Number 2 on the list is not having friends. Young kids not having friends within the schools that they attend. When kids are in school a lot, and the summers are very short. So with that time, kids are trying to become friendly. They're trying to show themselves friendly. They're trying to gain popularity. They're trying to gain all this stuff that people and students, especially young kids, man, young kids have these circles and they build these circles and these friendships, and they keep people out of the friend zone if they don't want them in the friend zone. So let's talk about that. Young kids not having friends within the schools that they attend. And if that could be, especially being a teenager, you want friends, you need positive friends. And when kids, first off, have to be taught on how to make friends. All right, and that's a big thing there, because a lot of kids don't know how to make friends. Let's talk about that. Let's just spend a little time on it. When it comes to being taught how to make friends, what am I saying? What is Preacherman saying? What am I saying? I'm about to tell you. Young kids have to be willing to say, hey, my name is such and such. Okay, what is your name? Oh, cool. I think we should, be friends here in school and get to know what each other like. Get to know what everybody's birthday is because big times things happen in school and then out of school. When they're in school and they're having a birthday, they want to have people to invite. And when the summer's there, they want to still be able to have people to invite and they're going to come. And I think with that, kids have to understand and need to be taught how to make friends. I teach my kids how do you make a friend? All right, what do I say? What am I looking for in a friend? Being a young teen or a teenager, mid-teen to late teen, it's so much that goes on. And the first thing is you're going through school, okay? And a lot of kids drop out of school because they can't make friends. It's not even about the grades. It's about I can't make friends, so I feel like an outcast. I'm not wanted in the school, and then they end up dropping out. And parents, I don't want kids to drop out. Most kids that drop out of school end up becoming a statistic, as the world calls it. They end up going into prison, and if they can't, and most can't handle prison, and they end up committing suicide. So a lot of things are working against these kids, and as a parent, you have to and must be there. Some kids, and this is the next thing, some kids think that the only way to be accepted in school is if they are having sex with everyone or with people in general within their school, or just being known for having sex or being known for just those, being macho. And that is also wrong. Kids commit suicide all the time when it comes to that whole thing of sex, because some kid somewhere out there has put it in the kid's mind that you have to have sex with numerous partners, that you have to have sex, and all of these great things that these kids come up with, and they're just bunch of crap that really parents, it starts in the home. It goes back to that first thing of starting in the home, letting your kids know. And I tell my kids all the time, you don't have to have sex with nobody. You don't have to let nobody touch you. If somebody touches you, you need to let someone know, but at the same time defend and protect yourself at all costs. If that means you have to hurt and beat that person up, then you have to do that. And I don't think a lot of parents teach their kids that. They want to teach their kids, first thing is go tell. Like, when something's going on, they got to get out of the situation. I think that's the biggest thing. They need to get out of the situation and get to somebody that cares. And I think that if your kid sees that you as a parent don't care, and let's just say, by God, that something happens sexually to that kid shuts down. That kid goes through life with the mindset that it's my fault. And then they go through life saying, I got to get up out of this. How do I get up out of it? And they commit suicide. And I think that's why I want to talk so big about suicide, because kids are killing themselves and no one's bringing it to the forefront. And kids are the future. I keep saying it. Kids are the future. When we're 60 years old and we're 70 years old and 80, 90, 100, and these young kids or these young teens as a whole are becoming our leaders in Congress. They're becoming our presidents. They're becoming our mayors. All of these political things out there, they're becoming the future, and we don't instill these things in them, they will miss out on those opportunities because they're being killed themselves and end up in a graveyard. And I don't want to see kids in a graveyard. Kids, again, are the future. But again, they feel like they have to have sex. All right, I'm going to be, and I want kids to listen to this. You don't have to have sex. All right, save yourself for marriage. Save yourself for marriage, because a lot of kids, a lot of young teens don't even know what it is to be a parent. All right, they don't understand what it is to take care of a household. They don't understand bills. And the first thing in life, when people have sex, the first bill that any teen will have is a baby. All right, and that is one of the hardest things as a young teen to even go through, to witness, and to see. As when I was in school, I've seen people, young teens, having babies. And when you're a teen having a baby, it's a child raising a child. That's the reality. That is what's really happening, is a child is raising a child. And that right there is already a cause of disaster. And I think that in my heart, that kids just need, and teens need to be teens. They need to go understand life, find out what it is they want to do with their life, besides somebody telling them and controlling their mindset. All right. And again, it goes back to, how do I find friends? Finding friends, making sure that you're not finding people who are telling you and controlling your mind to go and have sex. Okay. So let's let that be known. They might not have friends because of the things that they are going through within the household. What are they going through at home? Maybe their parents are never home. They don't care about them. They're leaving there with no food, no lights, no running water, no type of hygiene, no guidance, no nothing. Maybe they're being sexually abused in their home. These are real life things that teens go through, and they commit suicide. and they don't ever tell anybody about, because they don't want to be shamed. They don't want people to think that they are crazy. They don't want people to think that they are just not they're not telling the truth, because kids do go that have been sexually assaulted, or they're going through things at home, and they go and tell somebody, and some people don't believe them. They tell that kid that they're crazy. They reach out to the parents. The parents tell them, my kid is just a crazy kid. As a podcaster, as a person, as a parent myself, I believe that if a kid tells me something, and my kid come and tell me something, I'm taking it serious. I don't care about what those people think or any people think. I'm going to take it 100%. I'm going to take it to the bank, and I'm going to find out about it. And then I'm going to do what I need to do and get that resolved, because kids need to feel that their parents give a doggone about them. The next thing is, they might be going to school not fully showered, and now everyone is talking about them. Just because kids go to school, especially teens, when teens are in school and they are going through school, and let's just say hypothetically, they kids. Again, that goes with the no guidance. They're not being able or being taught how to hygiene hygiene. They're not taught hygiene. They're not taught brush your teeth. They're not really taught how to even brush their teeth. They're not taught to brush their teeth. They're not taught that you need to take a shower daily. You need to take a shower in the morning. You need to take a shower at night. They're not being taught that it's certain soaps that you can't use, certain deodorants you can and can't use. And what happens is these kids go to school stinking. Sometimes the parents don't even have washing powder or detergent in the house. So these kids' clothes are dirty. They're going to school with dirty clothes. So now, not only are they dealing with just at home, they're dealing with, I can't make friends at school. I'm not accepted by anybody. Why do I have to live on earth? And I'm going to tell every kid, if you're listening to this podcast, or any parents listening to this podcast, I want that young teen to understand they have a purpose in this life. They have a purpose, and that's everyone's life. But these young teens, they have to understand there is purpose in their life. There is things out here in this world that is bigger than where they're at right now. They might be 15, 14, 13, and all of these things, and feel like I'm just not wanted. Maybe they're 17, 16, 18, 19. You're still in your teens. And you have to understand, regardlessly, that these things in their life where they're at right now, it's not a permanent spot. It can be permanent if they allow it, but it's a temporary spot. And when they get older, they can move out and make their own way, and don't go out here and kill yourself. That is not the answer, young kids. This is not the answer for parents. This is not the answer. Everything in life is temporary. The problems you're going through today is a temporary problem. In the next 10 years, most likely you're going to be out of that problem. In the next 5 years, most likely you should be out of that problem and that issue. You should be on to something else. Okay, I don't want to harp on that, but I just had to throw that out. I'm really frustrated to even hear and read about teens committing suicide so many times. It's just heartbreaking. And so I had to bring that to the light. I'm going to keep it 100. The next thing is they might be having money. Okay, parents, we give our kids money, allowance, and sometimes we give them money because we want to, from the heart, right? And that same money that we give them, they're going to school, somebody's bullying them, taking their money. And then as a teen, this stuff is real. You as a parent have to be in your kid's life, and you must protect them at all costs. I'm going to say that again. You must be in your kid's life, and you must protect your kid at all costs. I don't care what that job says. Well, hey, my kid's got, if I'm at work and if I'm working, let's just say I was working a job, and I tell that boss, hey, I got to go to my kid's school. They're getting bullied. And that boss tells me, well, I got to find somebody to cover your shift. At that time, and parents, you got to, at all costs, let them know I'm gone. You got to walk up out of there. Have some faith that, hey, if I walk out of here, yeah, they may fire me, they may let me go, but I'm doing something to take care of my kid, because I can't allow my kid to keep getting bullied, keep getting their money taken, because that right there, I'm going to tell you this, that right there will make a kid kill themselves. Every day, the expectation, somebody's taking $10 from them, telling them, you better have my $10. You better have my $100. You better have this. You better have that. Kids will kill themselves, and you would never know. Every time people kill themselves, and it's always the biggest answer we always say was, well, what happened? Why did they do it? If you're in your kid's life, kids going to tell you. My kids tell me a lot in almost everything that happens in their life. They really do. They're gonna tell me they're gonna, and I'm going, as a parent, I sit and I listen. I listen because I want to know what's going on in your school, what's going on in your personal life, and not to hurt you, but to help guide you, to protect you. If something's going on in the school, I will go up to that school and I will let them know. Years ago, my son was having an issue, and I'm gonna tell you, parents, I'm going to tell you, my kid was having an issue with a young kid in his class, and the kid was bullying him and talking about him, and my son's a little weight, so he was talking. The young guy that was talking about him was a skinny guy, and he was talking about my son. My son, kept coming home telling, at first he was hiding it, he wouldn't tell us anything, and I asked my son about it, and as young fellas, they always try to hide it because it's that ego pride, macho thing, especially being a teen. And I told my son, I said, you don't let nobody pick on you. So what ended up happening was, I ended up going to the school. I let them know my kid will not be bullied. If my kid has to come to school and be bullied, they will protect themselves at all times, and they will not. And at the same time, they won't even come here. But if they were there, had to go there, and they went to my kid and tell me they were getting bullied, and let's just say they were there, and I didn't know anything about it, school administration didn't know about it. Well, my kids, if they get in a fight, well, they're protecting themselves. That's just how this thing goes. And I don't think that the school system, I hate to say this, and I'm going to say it anyway, I don't think that the school systems really protect your kid at all costs. Because your kids get bullied, and the next thing you know, they're getting in a fight, and the kid that bullies the kid gets suspended, and then your kids get suspended. And it's like, no, if the bully's bullying somebody, they get suspended. Goodbye, good riddance. I don't care. Bye. That's how it will be. That's how I will run my school. But that is not the way the school system is. It's not a fair system, and I say that, because a lot of times things are not happen. But a kid, again, should not have to go to school and have their money taken, book bags taken, coats taken, nothing taken, because that kid is somebody. Your kid is somebody. Your kid should mean the world to you, and you should make that kid mean the world to everybody else. Because I'm gonna tell you like this. As the 21st century goes, and as we move into new centuries and we move into new things, and our kids are going through life, and these teens are going through life, the biggest thing that these kids and these young teens have to learn is that they're going to need one another. Because in order for America to strive and to thrive, they're going to need each other. And international, it's the same thing. Everybody has to be on the same page. Okay, and I want to get to my number 3. I think this is a big one too. When coaches not believing in the kid, I think that's important. I'm gonna say that because sometimes the kid is not getting support at home, and I'm a coach myself. I coach high school football on my spare time, my volunteer time. Coaches not believing in the kid, okay, believing in the team, whether people believe it or not. Sometimes kids don't have that support at home. They go to school, they're finding a support system. And they go to play sports. They say, well, hell, my parents don't care about me. People don't care about me. Well, let me go see if these coaches will. All right, let me see if this coach has the best interest at heart. And I'm going to tell you this. Believe it or not, as a coach, student athletes, and I call them student athletes, because they're teens, the student athletes are looking for coaches to uplift them. They don't have to be the starter for you to believe in them. Okay, and I think that's what hits home right there. They don't have to be a starter for you to believe in them. I'm going to talk I'm going to talk about myself, my situation. Okay, when I first started playing high school sports, I was living with my uncle, and I was happy. I loved it. But I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes when you go to other schools, and the only reason I'm saying this is because I love being up under my uncle. I loved his leadership. I loved everything about my uncle. But I will say this: I learned when I went to another high school and I wasn't under my uncle and them, that there were coaches who believed in me in different places. They believed in me. They believed in my athletic ability. They believed in everything that I could do. And I was not even confident in my athletic ability at times. But guess what? When those coaches started believing in me, I started getting better at this thing called sports. And my parents, they were not sport parents, meaning I didn't grow up in a house with parents who played sports themselves. I grew up in a house with just your basic parents. But when I went in school and I was playing sports, my coaches were the ones who believed in me, which helped me gain confidence in myself, which helped not only me gain confidence in myself on a sport level, but when I was in school, I gained that confidence. And then I started being more outspoken. I was more able to make friends more. And not saying I wasn't able to make friends, but I was able to make friends, better friends. Most of my friends were people that were sports, because we all had the same thing in common. That was to compete every day and every time. That was to be better. That was to eventually make it to college and play sports. Now, it doesn't matter. Some of us didn't make it, but guess what? It didn't matter if you made it or didn't make it. You still were friends, even when they were in college. You were friends to today. Your friends going to be friends for the next 10 years. You're going to be friends when one of them die. You're going to go to these funerals. You're going to say, damn, I remember this guy. I remember that girl. That's why it's important to take these teens by the hand and give them and pour into them positivity, positive thoughts, positive things about themselves. Yeah, teens are going to be hard-headed, and I get that. But as a coach, these kids are counting on you. You're the last line of defense for them before anything happened, especially if they're playing sports. As a coach, as an athlete, I've seen kids, because I was a kid myself and teen myself and a grown up. And I've seen young kids, young teens who did not have support at home, that this was their way. This was their way of survival. This was their way of life. This was going to make or break them. And if you as a coach don't believe in them, these kids will go home and they will kill themselves and never return back to your program. As a coach, believe in these kids. I don't care if they're not your starter. I don't care if they're 10th string, 5th string. Believe in that kid that at some point in their life, whether it's for sports, and as a coach, we're driving kids for life. It's not just about sports, but for life. Parents, let your kids play sports. Let these teens play sports. Believe me, we're driving and pushing them for life lessons to learn, not just for the sport, not just where they're at, but 10 years later, they'll have some guidance that maybe as a parent you didn't give them. And guess what? They will walk a great life. They will walk a great line in life. They will have a great life. And they will also get, not only do that, they'll have and be able to treat their kids the way that they're supposed to be treated and raise that kid with confidence. Confidence is the number one thing, parents. Confidence is the number one thing. Confidence keeps kids from committing suicide. Confidence is what builds that kid, that you can't tear me down. I don't care what you do. But if you don't allow that kid to gain confidence, they're already torn. And if you, and I hate to say it, and it's like this. It's like a sheet of paper. If you rip a piece of paper, the only thing you can do is keep ripping that paper. That's all you can do until that paper is ripped up. And that's the same thing with a person's life. Okay? Once you rip it to the point it's unfixable, you're gonna see a suicide happen. I promise you. All right, and again, coaches. These students, and I'm talking to coaches now. I'm talking to coaches. These students and kids come to your team for a variety of reasons. It's not just because they want to join, just because they want to sit on a bench. They're not just joining because you want, they just want to be a part of your team and things of that nature. And they want to feel accepted by your team. They want to feel accepted. That's why they're joining. They don't want to just be a part. They want to be accepted. I don't think anybody joins a corporation. I don't even think anybody joins anything just to be there, but to be accepted. You have to, and an athlete has to be accepted, because no matter what, their name gets called in the game. They need confidence. You don't want a group of people who don't accept this young child. And guess what? They're on a basketball team, they're on a football, baseball, wrestling, whatever, track team, playing any sport and not have confidence. Because when they get out there, they already know they're already being talked about. What happens? That kid makes a mistake and then they're worse off. They never want to play the game. They don't want to make it back to another practice. They go home. They kill themselves. That's not the solution. That's not the answer. Build them up, coaches. Understand, why is these kids joining my team? Because they want to be accepted by the team. They're looking for something. Whether it's a scholarship, survival is why a lot of kids play sports. They want to survive. They want to survive. I had some of the greatest coaches in my life. I had some that have really transformed and helped me because they put input in my life, not only things for that sport, but things for life, okay, for life. And in sports, and I think sports is very big. It's very big. I can't stress that enough, because it's very big on all levels, on all platforms. It's very big. But I want to move forward, okay? And I want to say this. If the leaders accept them on a team, then the rest of the team will follow suit. I think that's important. And I say that because sometimes you can see kids coaches talking to other kids about another kid, and that other kid takes it and runs to the other kids about it, and next thing you know, these kids are like talking about the kid, and they end up bringing up the coaches. Like, the coach don't even like you, the coach don't believe in you, the coach, and it's like, yeah, the coach might not, but don't tell that kid that, because at the end of the day, we're here to build confidence. Because they are on your team for a reason. You listen, if coaches would take time out to listen to each of their kids, find out what's going on in some of those kids' life, you'll be like, doggone, I'm even shocked that they're here. I'm shocked that they're here. Why? Because things are going on in kids' life that makes them quit. And if they can quit sports, they'll quit on life. They'll quit on life, parents. Believe me, these teens need us. They need you. They need our guidance. God put us on here to guide, to lead these young kids so that they can, at one point in their life, do the same thing, leading God some other kids, and keep this thing going. Don't want to stay on that too long, but I just had to throw that point out. The next thing that is important too is this one called, and I think this one is one of the hardest ones, man. Really, one of the hardest ones that to talk about is their gender and them being gay. And I'm gonna say this: the world we live in, has kids, feeling confused. It really does. They're not sure what they want to be, and this can come from sexual abuse. Kids don't tell people about the things that go on in their household, and this is because someone in their household has threatened to harm them sometime. And if they go and tell, guess what happens? Not only not only going to commit suicide because they know that once this is over, they feel that their life is ruined. The person that threatened them will kill them and kill themselves. This stuff is real life. Kids are confused at times because their gender. They're going to school with kids who are peer pressuring them to change their gender to become a part of the gay community. And I'm gonna say this. I don't feel like any kid should be forced to join any type of community. I feel like a kid should be raised in that household the correct way with the male and female. And when they get older and they're out of your household, they're no longer a teen. They can go out there and explore. And you want to, at the same time, you want to give your kids the real life. Give them an understanding so that they have a foundation to be up on. We have to make sure that we are protecting our kids' minds, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this generation we live in, man, they're telling our young kids, the young future, that you can go out here and be a confused person, and then they kill themselves because of so much confusion. You have to make sure you tell your kids the truth, man. And then the next thing is, parents want to try and disown that kid who says they are gay. And who are part of want to be a part of the transgender community, who like the same sex. Biggest thing that you can do as a parent is love that kid. Love that kid. I don't care. I don't care what people are saying. Love that kid. Love them. And walk with that kid. Walk with it, because that might be what they need. You to love them, not the people out here. Because I'm going to tell you, peer pressure is crazy. Peer pressure is giving kids HIV. Peer pressure is getting kids to kill themselves. Peer pressure is making kids feeling unwanted. They're making kids feel like they're nothing. They're making kids feel like they have no hope. They're making their kids feel hopeless. You as a parent, you have to love that kid. I mean, love them with all your heart. I'm a Christian. I believe firmly in the Bible. I believe that we are to love them with just like we love God. But we need to be able to love them with the love of Christ. Christ loves us even though we are messed up. We're jacked up. We don't have anything going for our lives at times. God loves us regardless. And as Christ loves us, as parents, we following that leadership, we must, and we will not, and we shall not break. Love that kid with all your heart. When that kid comes and tell you that, you talk to him, find out. Sometimes a kid has been sexually assaulted, and all they want to do is be able to talk to somebody to find out. And instead, they'll go to the same people that are part of that community and who will hurt them, because they're hurt. Broke people make more broke people. Hurt people make more hurt people. That's what that community creates. Okay, it's a hurt. It's a hurt. A lot of them are not satisfied. They're hurt, trying to find satisfaction. And how do they find satisfaction? They find satisfaction in someone who's like them. It's not the sex that satisfies them. They're finding it through somebody who's like them. So what do? They put their body on the line for that individual. That's why I'm telling you to love that kid. Kids don't always tell. They don't always tell people what's going on in the household. They don't always tell. That's why you gotta love that kid. Get to know your kid. Don't just say, I know you because I named you. Know them because I know what you like. I know what you want. I know what your birthday party's like. I know what your friends are like. I know what you want to do with your life. I know where you're trying to go. I know what your bedroom's like. I know what gifts to get you. I know what makes you happy. I know what makes you sad. Most parents can't even tell you what makes their kids sad. And that's because of life, real life. That's real life, parents. What I feel parents need to do is figure out what has happened in that kid's life. What has transpired? What is making this kid feel this way? It has so many questions that a parent should answer. But I don't think a parent should abandon the kid. I don't think a parent should abandon the kid. I believe that the parent should find out what the kid is seeking. An attempt to help that kid redirect that kid. As a parent, you can redirect your kid. But if you're not in your kid's life, that kid is not going to talk to you. Not only is that kid not going to talk to you, when that kid is about to kill themselves, guess what's going to happen? They're going to go ahead and kill themselves because it's in their mind. And as it's in their mind, they're going to act on it. And as they act on it and they think on it, they're going to do it. And they're going to be successful at what they do. They're going to kill themselves. You never know it. You never find out what happened. So take the time out to figure it out. I think that's why I'm talking about teen suicide. Because not only do we need to know what makes them commit suicide, we need to have the solution. And I'm giving a solution as this podcast go because I want to see kids be successful. Kids are the future, man. Kids are the future. Kids care about how they're looked at in their parents' eyes, whether people want to believe it or not. I think kids, I'm going to say this, kids are more focused on what their parents think than what other kids think, what their uncles think. They're more focused on what do my parents think about this. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you why. Because as I was growing up, and I'm going to tell you how I know. Because when I was growing up, I know I didn't want to have kids when I wasn't married. I didn't want to have kids when I wasn't married. Because I looked at how my parents looked at it. They would look at it. I was like, man, when my parents, we grew up in a Christian home. What are they going to think about it? What are they going to say about it? How are they going to feel? Will I be thrown to the wolves? What will happen to me? And I went out there and I started really realizing, I said, my parents care. I got to make sure my parents are satisfied with my life. I got to make sure that I'm upholding the standard that my parents implemented in the home. See, again, it starts in the home. If you as a parent cannot, you just can't give that kid what they need, find some parent who can. And I'm not talking about just find any. I'm saying you need to know people because people will hurt your kid. People will do exactly what you didn't want to do to your kid. And that is hurt, tear that kid down, make that kid feel less than who they are. Okay? And kids go through, they go through abuse. There's a physical abuse. That's the first one. Physical is when they're fighting. They're putting their hands on each other. Maybe they're fighting amongst their brother and sister. Maybe they're fighting amongst their parents. Let me tell you stuff. This is happening. The second one is a verbal. Verbal, we all know what that is. That's speaking. That's saying something hurtful to that kid. Making that kid feel less and less and less and less and just beating that kid down to the point that kid goes and they figure out a way to commit suicide. And when I mean suicide is killing yourself. So they figure out a way to do it. And again, kids want to be so successful, they'll be successful at that. They will kill themselves because they'll say, I'm better off away from here than I am with you guys. And as that goes into their mind, it will eat them and eat them up, and then they will do it. Then there's this thing called the mental abuse, meaning they're psychologically being abused. Psychologically, mentally. They can't take it because somebody's abusing them this way. As parents, we need to be mindful of what's going on in our kids' life, man. Really, truthfully. Is your child watching pornography? Talk to your kid about that. Is your child trying to figure out, how do I have sex now that I'm under peer pressure to have sex? You need to figure it out. That's the only thing I can say. You have to figure it out. You have to be what your kid needs you to be, and that is to be the parent, the leader in their home, guiding them. Don't assume your kid knows. Because I'm going to tell you what, kids are kids. They go find answers within other kids. And that kid that told them the answer doesn't even know the answer themselves. So be the parent that your kid's looking for. Number 6. We're on number 6. Number 5 was abuse. So number 6, kids don't know how to overcome peer pressure. And I think this is a big one. Peer pressure is something that everybody has went through at some point in their life. Peer pressure. Being peer pressure to join a gang. which is one of the worst things a kid can be, is peer pressure to join a gang. Because all the lies that they're being told to make them want to join this thing. They join it and then they go out here and do something crazy. They kill somebody. They land behind bars. You as a parent are like, why is my kid, what if I raised that kid right? Next thing you know, they're behind bars. They end up committing suicide. Or they kill somebody. They're on the run. They commit suicide. Okay? And I'm going to tell you like this. Gangs prey on the weak. They prey on the weak. So it's not, you have to be strong-minded to be able to say no. If your kid's already weak-minded and looking for an acceptance, they're going to join a gang. They're going to get beat up. They're going to go through all this trauma just to be in this gang. And that kid will either end up dead or in prison. Whether they take their life, somebody takes it, or they'll be in prison and take their own life. Or they'll be in prison for the rest of their life. Sex predators. Kids are being peer pressured by sex predators. People who are their age, who wants to sleep with them and will make them feel worthless if they don't sleep with them. So it's a peer pressure by a sex predator. That's what I call them. They're the same age as a kid and they're a sex predator. They want to have sex. They're going to do everything in their power to have sex. They're going to make this kid feel worthless. They're going to tell this kid how much they're going to talk mess about them, how they're going to spread their name on the bathroom doors, and how they're going to spread their name around the community because everybody's going to believe it. They're going to tell the parent. They're going to go through social media. They're going to do all these things to this kid. So this kid is peer pressured into having sex. They don't want to have sex. They want to wait. But because of peer pressure, they could give in. And when they give in, they commit suicide because they either caught a disease. A young lady's about to have a baby, and she's like, I can't tell my parents, so I can't do this. It's a big letdown. So they feel like a failure. And guess what? They end up killing themselves. So parents, be mindful. Keep being mindful. This stuff is real. Kids feeling like they need to go the extra mile to fit in with the crowd and would do whatever is out there to do. Whatever possible to fit in, with the crowd. And that right there lets you know that this kid is going to do whatever. And when they don't feel that they've been accepted and they keep going out here and they're doing the same thing, they're going to just feel like they're worthless. They're going to feel like, I don't have nothing else to live for because I've done everything and I'm still not accepted. That means I'm not going to be accepted into the world. It's our responsibility, parents, to make sure that we know our kids and understand our kids. Okay? And this is just a few. This is just a few of the things that kids are dealing with. It's not all of the things. Kids are not all the time able to communicate with parents and with loved ones because of something we call a stigma. Okay, and that's the truth. Kids don't really communicate because of the stigma that parents gonna put on them. My kid's soft, or my kid doesn't know, or my kid doesn't need to do that. My kid should be able to defend themselves. My kid should know how to say no. My kid, and that's the thing. They are hit with a stigma. I'm going to tell you what a stigma is. A stigma is when someone sees you in a negative way because of your mental illness. All right? Or they just see you in a negative way because of you going to tell them something that you're trying to get help with. All right? It's not always a mental illness, but something you're trying to get help with. And then you're looked at in a negative light. Okay? Kids are very cognitive on how people look at them. They feel like they have to be liked. And if someone doesn't like a particular thing about them, they will feel like they are not wanted and will try to find a way for them to change that feature about themselves. And when they can't do it, they will look for a way out. And that way out leads them down the path to suicide. Parents, read the newspaper, look at the news, go online. You have your phone. Go inside your phone and look at these kids who have committed suicide. Because of so much that if only a parent would take time out of their day. Because I'm going to tell you like this. You can always find a new job. You can always get new money. You can always get a new car. You can always get a new house. Everything in the world that you get, you can always replace it. But a life you cannot replace. You can't replace a life. You can't replace your teen's life once they take their own life. And to the teens out there, you listen to what I'm about to tell you. Parents, please share this with your kids. Share this with your teens. As you grow up in this world, teens, and I'm talking to you now, as you grow up in this life, there are going to be people who don't like you. There are going to be people who don't like things about you. There are going to be people who don't want to work with you. And guess what? You've got to be resilient and you got to overcome what it is that you're going through. No matter what, because in life, you're going to be faced with problems. You're going to be faced with problems. You're going to be faced with issues, but only will you survive if you're strong. You have to be strong. Only the strong survive. It's a saying, only the strong will survive. And that's a true statement because a weak person will not survive. The weak person will not survive anything that they're going through because they will always look for a way out, and they will be so weak and go the way out that weak people go out. Strong people go out with a bang. They go out with, I made it. I did it. I overcame. I was resilient. I bounced back. These are what strong people say. I didn't go out and kill myself, but there were things that probably should have and would have made me do it, but I was so strong. I held on and kept fighting. Young teens, y'all stay in the fight. Don't give up. You better stay in the fight. I mean that. Stay in the fight. Stay with it. I don't care what a kid says about you. I'm a podcaster, and kids did not like me. Kids didn't believe in me. When I was coming up your age, people called me ugly. They called me all types of names. But I kept fighting. I kept the faith. I kept holding on to my faith in Jesus Christ. And guess what? I am now podcasting. I'm doing something great that if I was a young kid and I was not strong, I would have killed myself. And the greatness that was there waiting for me years later, I would have never made it. Kids, there's greatness waiting on you. And you got to make it to the end. Keep fighting. Again, keep fighting. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. Press on. All right. Parents, back to you. Parents have to be more involved with their kids' life. They also have to love on that kid as well as all the kids in their home and all the kids that they're raising. Kids are our future. No matter who they are, no matter the color of their skins, no matter how young or how old they are, no matter if they're the good kid, the bad kid, the tall kid, the small kid, the kid that plays sports, the kid that doesn't play sports, the kid that has a car, the kid that doesn't have a car, the kid that rides the bus to school or the kid that walks to school. These kids matter to everyone, and we have to be there for them as parents. We have to watch out, look out for our kids as much. Do not get and allow jobs to take you and make you miss out on your kids' life, to miss out on your kids' growing up, because the day that your kid, if they go and commit suicide, that job will allow you time to go to a funeral, but they won't allow you time to go to a game. You make the decision today, parents, to take that kid, to mold that kid, to make that kid a fighter for life and make them and help them be successful. Parents, we need you. Your kids need you. The world needs you, parents, to step up because we are tired of hearing about kids committing suicide because mom and daddy's not home or because kids being kids. Come on, parents, get involved. Get involved. Kids need an out. Parents, you have to be in that out. My daughter, I'm going to tell you a story. My daughter, one day, she had a picture for Mother's Day this past year. And my daughter had a picture. And the picture, I guess, the girl told my daughter, laughed at her picture because she said that my daughter wasn't smiling and that my wife, I guess, wouldn't like it. So my daughter's come home and I'm doing my homework. I'm in school. I was studying for my master's. I completed it, thank God. And she came home and she was crying. And I said, what's wrong? And she wouldn't tell me. And I said, hold on, wait. See, I took time from my personal homework. I took time from my personal life to find out what is going on with my child. Because if I don't do it, nobody will. So I eventually found out. She told me that the girl laughed at me, took my picture, and she said my mom wouldn't like it because I didn't smile. I told my daughter, I said, from that day, I told her, I said, you are beautiful, right? Don't you know you're beautiful? She said, yes. I said, you know that the only person that matters and the only thing that matters, if that picture is for your mom, is what your mom thinks. It's not about that kid thinks. It's not about what I think, because it's not for me. And I told my daughter, I said, it matters only what you want to matter. I said, if you want that picture to feel like you're not smiling because someone else said it, they're going to control you. They're going to make you cry. And my daughter's only in the second grade. And I told her, I said, you control that. Don't let nobody else control your emotions. I had to break it down. Parents, you got to break stuff down to these young kids. She's not even a teen yet, but she's a young kid. You got to break it down because when they get older, because they're going to get older, so much is going to come at them. You got to instill in them now that you're beautiful, that you are amazing, that you mean everything to me. I don't care what that person say about you. You're my child. You believe. I look at you as amazing. You're God's gift to this earth. God has something great in store for you, and you have to, and you must reach that destination. Don't let somebody make you feel like you're worthless, because you're not. In God's eye, God didn't create anyone to be worthless. He didn't create anybody to be worthless. And I want that to be known today. I want kids to see that. Parents, please share this podcast with your kids, your teens, man. Sit around. I believe we should sit around and listen to it together. Why? Because you're able to ask questions. You're able to stop this podcast and reflect and say, what is going on in school? What is going on in your life? What is it that you want to be? And as parents, we must help them. Again, we're helpers and guiders. That's what God created us to be for our kids. A help and a guide. Guide them. Redirect them. Love them with all your heart, with all your might. Protect them with all your heart, all your might, because that's what the kids need. God gave us parents to lead. And I mean lead them correctly. It doesn't always have to be the way you as a parent was raised or in your household as a young kid. But as parents, we need to be the example in the home and make it where our kids can come and talk to us. A lot of times kids can't come talk because they don't know how. All they see is you on the phone all day. You're on a video game. You're in front of the TV. You're at work. You're doing schoolwork. You're not taking time out. They got a game, you drop them off and you leave because you got so much going on that's more you feel is more important than that kid. Sometimes stay at the practice, see what's going on. If your kid is a dancer, influence them to go dance. Influence them to use their talents to be great and understand there's greatness in every one of us in this world. There's greatness. You have to have greatness. You gotta feel greatness. And when you get to that stage of greatness, there's so much that you can do. Can't be stopped. You can't be stopped. You won't be stopped. You gotta keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting, and keep fighting. I will say this. I'm a firm believer. No job that we work, no organization that we are a part of, no family that we are a part of or have been included in because maybe we married into a family, or anything in this world is more important than the time we spend with our children. I'm going to say that one more time because somebody didn't get it. Somebody's going to need this. So maybe you're dealing with this now. Now that you're listening to this, you're saying, I made so many mistakes. I got to figure out a way to get back to my kid. Maybe you're thinking, okay, I have time now. Start where you're at, parents. Make that decision. Start where you're at, parents. Believe me, start where you are at. You may didn't do things right 5 years ago. You may didn't do it 10 months ago. Maybe you didn't do the best thing last night, but you're listening to Preacherman, David, a.k.a. Preacherman, on this podcast on teens suicide. I'm giving you the answer. I'm giving you the solution to the problem. Again, I said I'm a firm believer, no job, no company, no organization, no family we're a part of. Nothing is more important than the time we spend with our children. You have to believe that. That's what the future holds. Be there for your kids. Show your kids that they are the future. Show them that what you're going through in life is temporary. Because 10 years later, 5 years later, you won't be in the same boat. Things will get better. Time changes and gets better. You know, and this is the thing. I'll say this, and I'll begin to close this thing out because this was a great podcast. I believe it's a great podcast. I believe it's something that's great because it's about teens. It's about kids. It's about our future, parents, our future. When your kid gets older and they graduate and they get that job, they're striving, they're doing successful things in their life, they come back through that door. We are watching the future amongst our eyes. We're watching the future take its place. We're watching greatness be great. We're watching God, who ordered our steps to be great leaders, watch our leaders now rising up and taking on that leadership role. I say this to say and close on this. We all as parents have been teens in our lives. We all know what it is to be the outcast at some point. Maybe we're the outcast because we weren't popular in school. Maybe we were the outcast because we wasn't mom or daddy's favorite. Maybe we were the outcast because our grandparents singled us out as kids, or maybe we weren't the best looking kid growing up. But I want to say this: there's greatness in each and every one of us. There's this thing that is called life. Life at times beats us up. Oh yes. Life beats us up, man. Ladies and gentlemen, life beats us up. But there's something that is the greatest thing about life. We can hit life back. We can beat life up and take our rightful place in this life. Not only that, we can change our situation and our circumstance. And with me being a believer in Christ, I believe that Christ allows us the opportunity to change our life for the better, change our circumstances for the better, change our situations for the better. And I challenge every teen, I challenge every parent to go out there and become a fighter. Mentally, become a fighter. Spiritually, take your rightful place amongst this world. Don't allow the world to just take you and do what it wants to do to you. Parents, redirect your kids. Spend time with your kids. Take a trip with your kids. I know that there's a pandemic that has come and has taught, and we've been recommended by such and such and organizations to stay far from the family, stay this, stay that, do this, and not value time. But I'm telling you, and I'm recommending to you, take time with your family. Take time to find out, as school year closes out, what is it that young kid, male or female, want to do with their life? What trips and vacations do they want to go on? Maybe you're not the most financially stable parent, and that's okay. You can still take time out with your kid. Kids value time more than money. Kids value time more than a movie theater. Kids value time more than going to a sporting event. Because time and time and time again, the time that cannot be replaced with none of that. The only thing that can be done is where we're at now, and that is spending time, quality time. I don't care if you got to turn your phones off. I don't care if you got to tell work, hey, don't call me. I'm spending time with my kid. I don't care if you got to tell family members, don't call me. I'm spending time with my kids. Whatever you got to do, spend that quality time, because nothing is more important than time with the kid. That is my time. I'm David, a.k.a. Preacherman. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and everything else. Make sure to visit our personal website, www.FrazierChronicles is one word.com. Again, www.FrazierChronicles.com. Make sure you look at our YouTube videos. Make sure that if you find it in your heart to donate on our website. Any amount, you're able to put in any amount. If you want to donate 1 cent, hey, we'll take that 1 cent. We'll treat 1 cent like $1 million as well. So again, make sure you subscribe to our Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to the Facebook. Make sure you visit our personal webpage at www.FrazierChronicles.com. And I hope to see and I hope to hear that a lot of you are more reaching out to your kids, and also that you're changing your life and putting it more into your kids. Again, that's my time. I'm David, a.k.a. Preacherman, and that is my time.